Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the Save Money and More channel with Jan. How you doing today? Hope everyone is doing well. We're going to talk about the highest way that I paid myself back. Yeah. Back in a minute. So nice of you to come back. And if you're brand new here, welcome. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button and the like button right away so that we don't forget. Just saying. Thanks for being here. I want to mention to you today a couple of things. Number one, I personally was not born as a frugal person. And actually, I don't think anyone has a frugal DNA. It's just something that we learn either from our environment, if we're paying attention enough, that is. When I was a kid, I wasn't paying attention enough. I was just being a kid and having a good time. And when I got a little bit older, as a teen and everything, did the usual stuff that all the teens did. Then when I got a little bit older in my 20s, I recognized more the value of a dollar. And I have to share with you my secret, what worked for me, the best way that I started to pay myself first was I had to completely change my mindset about money. Yeah, because I saw people who were in my own age bracket that were at that moment living a much more frugal lifestyle. And I'm like, well, something's amiss here, Jan. What are you not doing? That like they're doing things you're not. Well, a couple of my friends were super responsible, even in their late teens and early 20s, which is really totally amazing. This was back in the late 1970s, but that's okay. So if we have a little bit of a late start, I look at life this way: better late than never. Of course, better never late, but better late than never. So I was one of those late blooming people in life when it comes to frugality. But once I got into it, I've never gotten away from it. And it's completely by choice. Because here's the thing, I completely changed my mindset. And after that, I made deliberate decisions with my money because I really learned the value of the money that I earned. It took time, effort, sweat, energy. You know what I'm saying? To earn that dollar. Why would I want to squander it? I want to get the maximum value. But I'm going to give you a specific activity that I way cut back on that helped me tremendously. I used to order lunch a lot of times when I was working at a certain job. Okay. I used to order lunch, and that's where a lot of people make a lot of mistakes with the eating out. I mean, many times when I discuss about cutting back on eating out, people assume that I'm only referring to like going to a specific restaurant or getting dressed up and it's a formal thing. I'm talking about even the casual places, okay? I'm speaking about even like if you order a sandwich from the deli, okay? And I was realizing, oh, but this sandwich is so super duper good. Jen, at that time, I could have made my own darn sandwich and saved my own darn lots of money at that point. Honestly, till one day I noticed that, like I said, a couple of my frugal friends are like, they're bringing their own stuff. They didn't care if their tuna fish sandwich stunk up the whole back of the office. I said, wait a minute. Then another lady, she was like, much older than all of us, and she was heating up her soup from home. And honestly, her soup had a funny smell too. But I said to myself, they don't even care that their sandwiches stink or their soup smells. They don't care. And I'm like, well, why do you care about all this stuff? Why do you have to be the only one practically going to the deli and walking in with your fancy sandwich at that time? So one day, being that I'm not a math person. I have admitted that 1,000 times on this channel, but that day something caused me to sit down and do the math. So I literally did the math. I said, okay, so X number of sandwich on Monday versus this kind of other lunch on a Tuesday. For example, I used to like to buy split pea soup with croutons. Don't get me wrong. The place that made that specific soup, I never in my life had such an amazing homemade style split pea soup with the most amazing croutons. Now, I don't know if it's because someone else made it and like the convenience, it just like shows up at your doorstep type thing. But anyway, so I used to order things like that every once in a while, especially on a cold winter day, up at that office. But anyway, I sat down and I did the math. I said, "Are you out of your mind?" to myself. I said, "Look how much you're spending a week. No wonder the deli people love you over there. Every time you walk in, you get the biggest smiles on their faces." And that's part of the business too. They let their good customers know, which is a smart business maneuver, how much they appreciate you. And then I realized, well, with the money I'm spending here per week, I should, I should get all this appreciation. But then I said, no, no, no. So I'm going to join the ranks and files of my super responsible, frugal friends at that time who didn't care if they brought that smelly tuna fish sandwich and this stinky soup, and they heated it up in the back of the office. So it was a gradual weaning, and that's what I meant when I said I wasn't born with a frugal mindset. I had to learn for myself, and I am so glad that I did because I was spending like I don't even want to get into how much it was costing me per week. Okay. So when I like suggest to people to, quit eating out as much as they, normally do, whatever, and that includes little trips to the deli. It's not just about sit down restaurants. See, this is where I think a lot of people get confused. Or they figure, well, fast food restaurants or cheap food restaurants. The food may arrive to you quickly, but that doesn't mean you're saving money. Maybe you're saving a little bit of time. Maybe. Okay. But we need to work on honing our abilities or just changing our mindset. When I read the numbers at that time, of the money that I was kerplunking down. I said, this is ridiculous. This literally could go towards, I was starting to build up my emergency fund. And because I cut back on all of those extraneous lunches, can I tell you something? It's a darn tootin' good thing that I discovered that problem a few years earlier because that office, and even with the nice people with the smelly sandwiches and the stinky soups heating up in the back of the office, all of us got laid off. I am so grateful that I knew at that point to take it seriously. And like might have happened a little late in life. Like I said, in my early 20s, I could have had a head start a few years earlier, but I didn't. So I'm just talking real, like I tell it like it is. This is the way it is. So a lot of us, maybe we think because it's a fast food place that it's cheaper. That is not true. Or maybe we feel we don't want to smell up the back of the office with our food. Those two people that I'm speaking of were dear friends of mine, and they didn't care. I didn't care if I was smelling their smelly sandwich and their smelly old soup. Every day I did it. I went back there and I was a good friend. I didn't even think twice about it. So all those years they were saving and saving and saving. So when I started taking my situation more seriously, I started saving a bundle. Every time I saved that bundle, it went right away to that emergency fund. So that in 1997, on Valentine's Day, and every year near Valentine's Day, I get reminiscent about it. And we have Valentine's Day coming up very, very soon. I get very reminiscent about that day when all the good people, we did nothing wrong. It was just an interdepartmental shakeup of which the managers had a shakeup and they were discontinuing certain departments, even though the workers were great. One by one, got the call to what they used to call personnel, okay, human resources. One by one, after lunch, after a party on a Friday, on Valentine's Day, back in 1997. Can I tell you something? Everybody walked out. They were called out one person at a time. They all came back with a face. And I'm like, what's this all about? And then, of course, it was my turn. I said, oh no, what is going on here? Only to find out, oh, Janet, we love your work. You're a really great gal. But unfortunately, X, whatever date it was, will be your last day. And they explained the problem with the department. Nothing to do with the workers. We were laid off. We were not terminated. We were not fired. We were laid off. But let me tell you something. Was I sure glad that I had my emergency fund ready? And was I sure glad that I started taking those little expenses more seriously?